Got a very important discussion to have in this episode. And the big question that we've all got to think about and we've all got to potentially answer here is it now time to panic? There's been calls for some changes already. I believe it's been going on, but it's starting to ramp up. There's been calls for something to happen. And we're here to talk about that. Hopefully we can calm everything down. I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know what my co-hosts have to say about all this. But yes, is it time to worry? We'll figure that out. Welcome to the Show of Champions. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only show dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Zamora. I'm here to take you through this journey as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club, and helping me out on this as we try and figure things out. First, Dylan. Dylan, the important question. We'll get into more, but is it time to panic?
No, but I'm less certain of it now than I was 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that discussion. Let's also welcome on DK. DK, same question to you. Is it time to panic?
I think it's time to worry, but I don't think it's time to panic. You know, I still stick pretty strong to the idea that we shouldn't really panic until about halfway into the season, which would be game 15. I also think that despite some abysmal performances, despite a lot of inconsistency from, the results this season so far, is that we're still somehow in 7th place. So I don't think anybody can or should panic while we're in a playoff spot, with games in hand on some of the people above us as well. So there's room to turn this around. It just needs to be done within the next few games.
Yeah, definitely. And the main reason I bring up this question is there are now murmurs coming out from some of the supporters, some of the fans, casuals and hardcores alike, that they're wanting a change. And whether that means a change from the head coach or in the head coach, or a change in tactics, or a change on the field, on the pitch. There's some frustration starting to boil up from some of the fans. Not all fans. Apparently, Dylan and DK, you're not quite to that, SOS moment yet. But again, with the results that we've seen, and this coincides with the result this past weekend in Phoenix against Phoenix Rising, a 3-1 loss against a team and what looked to be a winnable match. When you look at the performances out there, there's people really getting frustrated. We'll get further into that discussion about panic, frustration, worries, concerns. But let's talk about what happened this weekend for Orange County first. They travel out to Phoenix against the rivals. I think there was graphics that these teams have played quite a bit, and it's always tightly contested between these two teams for the most part. I think Phoenix has the lead overall all time, but that's nothing to be concerned about. 3-1. Let me just start out right this, and I'm going to probably get people irritated or concerned. Orange County should have had it should have been a tie score at halftime. Do you agree or not, Dylan?
On what basis? I'm going to need more information before I just agree with you, I think.
Based on a no-call penalty in the box. And I will say this, just before you get into it, I actually went and I have a copy of the match and I slowed it down to like 0.5 speed. And the ref called simulation. There was contact. So I'm not saying it was hard or heavy contact, but there was contact in the box. That's the reason why I say that. Go, Dylan.
I mean, you seem really confident that we'd score. And I guess, if we look at what XG is worth, that it's 3 out of 4 times we score one of those. So are you super confident that we actually put one of those in the back of the net?
I would have been. I think, given the situation, right before halftime, trying to sort of equalize and even things up and come out fresh in the second half, I think Orange County would have scored on the PK there had it been correctly given to them.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you, not about us scoring or not, but just about we deserve to go into that level. And I've said this 1,000 times this season. Good teams make their own luck. We're not a good team right now. We might be in 7th place, but we're not a good team. If you ask the 20, probably 3 or 4 people that are on the playing staff whether or not we're a good team, I bet they would say no, or some variation of, well, we should be, but right now this is happening. So no, we didn't deserve to go into that level. We didn't go into a level, so oh well. I worry about us getting sucked into weird hypotheticals, but if we look at what happened in that first half, and we look at the first half stats, we managed 1 shot, it wasn't on target, and we barely had the ball. So it's not a great performance. And this is maybe too harsh on you, but it's not a great performance to be like, oh, we should have been level here. It should have, what could have been.
Well, okay, let me correct you on this, Dylan, because you're putting some words into my mouth here. I didn't say we deserved to be tied. I'm just saying we should have gone into halftime tied because, again, a missed call and the fact that simulation was also given and a yellow card. That's sort of a extra slap in the face in that. There was contact. He went down off the contact. It's a penalty. I'm not saying deserved, but it happened. DK, your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I also think that it, should have been a penalty. I didn't, slow it down as much as Ray did. But when I watched it and watched the replay, it definitely looked like the leg was extended out and clipped Scylla. So I would have wanted a penalty. However, I think on the idea of, giving him a yellow card for simulation, I think you either have to do one or the other. And I think, soccer fans in general call for that all the time. It's like, well, if you didn't give the penalty, then you should have given a yellow for simulation for it, right? It's one of the two is what it should be. So whether that was a right call or not, I don't agree. But I think the ref thought it was a dive, and so he gave simulation. And you don't see that often, especially in this league. So I'm not going to harp on him, I guess, too much for that. And yeah, I definitely don't think we deserved to be level. I'm glad that we got 1 goal, but I don't think we deserved a lot in this game. And stats don't always tell the whole picture, but I think in this game it did. Phoenix beat us on possession, especially in that first half. They beat us on passes. It looked like they dominated us completely. And, unfortunately, I think this was one of the worst games from the season so far.
To offer a third point here while we talk about this, is it a penalty? Is it simulation? I think one of the best things about the sport is that it's not a binary. There's always room for a third. You can win, you can lose, you can draw. It's entirely possible that there is contact, and it's just not enough contact to be worthy of a penalty. That doesn't mean it's simulation.
True.
Look, Ray, are the odds that you are right here? Well, look, Brad's not here, so I don't know how to give the odds, to be honest. I'll never learn. But it's entirely possible that you are right. It was a penalty. And it's entirely possible that it was simulation. And more than likely, a USL quality referee and Ray, who loves to run his mouth, probably the middle ground here is accurate, where, yeah, there was contact. It probably really wasn't enough. Whatever. Life moves on all the same. This was not the reason we lost.
No, I agree with you. It is not the reason we lost, but I will give you the answer, Dylan. I am correct. No one else is right on that, unless you agree with me. Now, luckily for Orange County, or I guess not luckily, but Orange County was able to still equalize early on in the second half. It looked like there's a chance there that this would have been one of those you're stealing points on the road because, like both of you said, there wasn't much going right for Orange County as far as their stats, their possession, those things. But Phoenix was leaving the door open for a good, 65, 70 minutes of this match. And then, I guess, as we've seen multiple times on the season, just a couple quick sort of knockout punches from the opponent, and it takes any hope or chance that you have on that. But there was the chance. And this is why when I said, like, there was a chance for Orange County to come home and sort of get some positive out of this match. Just like Dylan said, just luck isn't on our side. Things aren't going our way. But let me ask you, Dylan. We're now, a third of the way through the season. No shutouts. No clean sheets yet for this defense and for Shuttler. Is this just, are we going to have a full season with no clean sheets at this point? Based off what you saw, maybe just off of this last match in Phoenix, too.
Well, Phoenix's thing is scoring a lot of goals and conceding a lot of goals, so they don't really know how to do shutouts either. Orange County's thing is we don't really know how to draw. I was going to say it's win or lose. It's mostly we lose. On occasion we win. None of it's good. I think it's statistically unlikely that we go 30 odd matches without a clean sheet. That being said, does Colin Shuttler have something to do better with? Yes, in this match. Does Tom Brewitt have something to do better in this match? And hopefully it was actually him. I still can't figure out. Pretty sure it's him that was just diving in and leaves a 3-on-1 for Latinovich to deal with. Not great decision making. So this is past the point typically where I think we expect defenses to have figured it out. But it's still a new back line every game. It's just been chaotic. So until we get some semblance of regularity and we figure out who our right back is going to be moving forward, I don't know. I do think we get one or two, even if things continue being this bad by the end of the year.
DK, I'm going to give you final thoughts on this match against Phoenix. And I want to ask you a very specific question. Were there any positives that you saw out of this match that Orange County fans can be like, okay, there's this hope still?
Off this match, no, I don't think there were any positives. Like I said, I think this was one of our worst performances. I think we got dominated completely. I think every time we got the ball, there was a Phoenix player who was on top of us and ready to take it away or intercept passes. I think we looked completely out of sync. I think this is one of our lowest shots, definitely on target, but shots in general for the season so far. So there really wasn't any semblance of a good team off this game. However, one game doesn't encapsulate the entire season or the squad or their talent or their, desire to win. Who knows exactly what happened, before the match as far as getting this, this team motivated or at a halftime. I don't know. We're not there in the locker room with them, but I don't think it's time to panic. I don't think that this match isn't full indication of what the season is to come. I think there's things to look forward to, and you can look at how inconsistent we've been. We've had some fantastic wins. We're on the podcast, and fans talking online have all been super excited about what this team can do. They just need to find consistency and that kind of chemistry to bust that out, especially on the road. I think that's our major issue right now is we haven't won a single game on the road. We haven't tied a single game on the road, I don't believe either. We've lost every away game that we've had. And we have 3 league away matches coming up. So that worries me. But also it's time to show up or shut up. Like, they got to do it now. So.
Well, I mean, let's hope that maybe Orange County, maybe this whole, like, we can't win on the road. It's like a clock, right? You're correct at least twice a day. And maybe this coming weekend on the road in El Paso is a moment for Orange County to be correct with their time, or in this case, the win. As Orange County's next opponent is going to be El Paso Locomotive on the road. Never an easy place to travel, not just because of the logistics of getting to El Paso from anywhere in the United States, but also I'm pretty certain that the weather is not going to be friendly for people or for the teams. So let's get into that. Let's talk about this upcoming match. where Orange County is traveling out to El Paso. And I believe we have someone on here to assist us with that. A good friend of the show. That's Phil from Seriously Loco. Man, Phil, we go back years and years and years. Who would have thought that Seriously Loco and Orange and Black Soccer Cast would still be around after all these years?
Yeah, it's crazy. This is our 7th season doing this for Locomotive, and yeah, just wild. Like never would have thought, particularly with the false start of COVID and all that nastiness. But yeah, happy to be back, and thank you guys for still after this many times still inviting me back.
Oh yeah, we love to have experts and voices for other teams because, to be honest, as much as Dylan and DK like analyze and study the USL, I know nothing about this stuff. They know a little bit. So it's always great when we have someone that actually knows what they're talking about, especially for some of these opponents. And yes, the whole COVID thing, we saw a lot of great friends leave because of COVID. So I'm glad you guys are still around. Let's talk about this match. Y'all are catching Orange County in a very I guess sour taste in the mouth of the fans, and I'm sure the players are struggling. Like you heard probably while you were waiting to come on, this team hasn't won, hasn't drawn on the road. So there's going to be the hope there. How does that play out for El Paso? Do you think there will be a letdown? Because, we see in sports when a team is struggling, sometimes the team that's higher up on the table overlooks them or doesn't think it's going to be as difficult. Do you think El Paso would potentially be a team that could fall into that, or are they pretty focused on the bigger picture?
I'd say, this year Locomotive have been really good at home, which is basically a complete 180 from last year. They were absolutely terrible at home, and now this year the only match that they've lost at home so far is to Switchbacks in the Jaeger, where they basically played a completely changed 11 and sort of and it was a 1-0 loss. So they have been really good. Like the results have been really good at home. I think the concern, like I was just actually saying this over on USL show, which I just got done recording. But I am getting a little worried about right now. Locomotive's really reliant on sort of their first 11, and Wilmer Cabrera, the manager, will play them. This game in Oakland was a perfect example. Like things were not going particularly well. They weren't going poorly, but Roots have been terrible. They weren't asserting themselves over the match. So you're thinking like, we could probably use some like fresh legs in attack, maybe someone to just change things up in midfield. Just shake things up around the hour mark, whatever. He doesn't make the first change until after 80 minutes. And by that time, it's like the game's kind of petered out. No one's really like into the whole thing was just very odd. Or the one enforced change he made at halftime was due to an injury to the center back Palermo Ortiz. And so I think like my concern is not necessarily that Locomotive will overlook Orange County as much as they're just coming into this match a little bit stale, even though the performances and the results are pretty good. Like they're unbeaten in 4. It feels like pretty positive, and all that being said, like, I don't know. It's just feeling a little bit stale and a little bit one note right now, which is really what concerns me about facing a team that is so desperate for results like Orange County.
Phil, thanks so much for joining us. I think this is the first time I've officially met you, but I watch the USL show all the time, so it's an honor to have you on with us.
Thanks, man.
I think obviously, you guys have been coming off of not a great season or two, really. And this season, it's been, as you mentioned earlier, like a complete 180. So obviously the question is like, what, in your opinion, has been that X factor or factors that has seen such a big turnaround to get you guys into being tied for second right now?
Really quick, Phil, quick before we continue. I know this is maybe a new platform for you to jump on here, but if you have any ability to turn up your mic volume a little bit, unfortunately, this platform doesn't do a great job of sort of leveling the mics for everyone. So We'd appreciate it.
How's that sound?
That's a lot better.
Okay, cool. If it needs to keep going up, I got room. I'm always worried about being too loud. So, to answer your question, I wish there was something like this, like light bulb thing that I could point to where it's like, oh, it was just this or that. The weird thing about this season is that none of the players that we really thought were going to be the marquee or sort of like headline players that were going to take us back to the next level are the ones that are contributing the most. Like our top goal scorer is Andy Cabrera, the coach's son. Like we're running AAU ball vibes right now. Like just like I just think like it is a little bit weird because I was thinking that we didn't do enough in the offseason. Like just to be totally transparent, like I really thought, and I've said this publicly, I thought that we were going to be pretty poor again. So I've been like happily eating my words the beginning of the season because things have turned around. And I think like the weird thing is that the margins in the West are just really fine. Like it's kind of, I don't know. There's so many games that I think about where I'm like, like we weren't that great, but like we got the 3 points. And it's like, if all it takes is that happening like 5 times in a row, and all of a sudden you're like at the top of the West. And so I don't know, Colorado Springs is like the easy thing to point to last year where it's like they were absolutely horrible to open the season, like looked at, hopeless, and they won the league. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, maybe it's delusional, maybe it's, and maybe it's my own, like, hey, remember, like it is, you're not that far from falling back down. But I would say like, hope springs eternal in the USL West because there really is no point at which you're out of it. Like they're just, I think for as bad as Locomotive was last season, they were technically mathematically in playoff contention until the second to last game of the season. And like we were horrible. So yeah, I just think like there's always something that can turn it around. And I think like when we see a season like last season, all it took was the players actually believing that they could play again. Like, and that was sort of the thing where you're like, you're looking at the names on the team sheet and you're like, this is fine. Like, this is a good team. And everybody's just playing well below like where they should. And it took somebody kind of giving them their belief back, which credit to Wilmer. I think he's done that. And I think when you see a team underperforming where you think they are, sometimes it's like, it is just that, like, are they feeling like they can play their game?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we were talking about that right when we started the show of it's not time to panic yet for probably anybody in the Western Conference, honestly, because it can turn around so quick. As far as this Saturday goes, I think you might have already touched up on it a little bit, at least on one element, but what do you guys need to do to make sure that you secure the 3 points against Orange County? I know you mentioned kind of Wilmer making those subs, in the game to get fresh legs, but is there anything that you've been looking at as far as consistency goes for El Paso that maybe Orange County should be worried about?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, the weapons that Locomotive have in terms of Amando Moreno, Andy Cabrera in this form, and Beto Avila, it is a potent front three that's like gotten the job done. They I don't know where they stand now in terms of goals scored in the USL, but I mean, it was like the highest scoring team in the USL as of, like a couple weeks ago. And the midfield is really strong on their day. Eric Calvillo, you guys know well, like what he can bring to the table. And he's now been a fixture he just actually made his 101st like start for the club, which is a new record. And so that's been very cool to watch, but yeah, he's a stalwart out there. And then the additions of Frank DeRoma, and then Gabby Torres into that midfield. He's, traditionally kind of played wing back. He's playing in midfield. Those are all like very important players that can like really take over games on their day. And what we saw against Oakland in the 0-0 draw on Saturday was it just started to feel a little bit stale. maybe a little bit out of ideas. And so I think it's going to take like a bit of a shakeup, both in terms of, I would love to see a little bit of a personnel change in terms of, there's been a little bit too much if it ain't broke, don't fix it from Wilmer. But I think in general, they just each need to, we didn't see the sort of dynamic things that we've seen from, when Eric Calvillo is at his best, like he's finding really great passes and like breaking lines and just causing teams a lot of trouble in midfield, controlling the tempo of the game. Frank DeRoma, similarly, like he's running with the ball, breaking lines that way. And then Amando Moreno getting players wide, all that sort of stuff. I think Andy Cabrera, if he's getting touches in the box, like he scores a lot of goals. And they just aren't consistently like doing those things in these games where they look a little more poor. So all in all, I think they've got to get back to doing the stuff that makes them good. And if that means one of the key guys getting a day off, like in the interest of getting someone like Tumi Moshibane or Frank Lopez, like a little bit more minutes in the legs, and maybe bringing on somebody like Cabrera or Beto Avila is more of an impact sub, and just like kind of giving them a different look at the game. I think that's something that I'd like to see personally. But yeah, just each of the guys getting back to the things that have made this team potent this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, hopefully both of our sides kind of have a little shakeup to strategy and tactics. So it results at least in a great game. Just one more question from me, Phil. I don't know how many games of Orange County you've watched this season, if any, but from what you know about the squad, since you are on the USL show, and I know you guys talk about the league in general, is there anything that worries you about Orange County, whether it's, Danny Stone, tactics, or a specific player or players?
I mean, I think the times that we've seen Orange County be really good this year, Liam McKinnon's been involved. Like that is a player that always worries me. And one of the things about El Paso that has concerned me over this year is that we're quite good, or have been over the course of the season. We're quite good when in like a 0-0 game state. And once we take the lead, I swear to God, we're like one of the worst teams in the league. I feel like we completely switch off. There's just something about taking the lead that's not good for us. And I know, like the most visible example of this was the Open Cup game in Austin, which, there's all kinds of Brandon Vasquez sized, reasons for that particular collapse. But yeah, I just feel like when Locomotive have the lead, they're not particularly good at closing things out and sort of making things difficult for the opposition. And so players like Liam McKinnon just like getting chances, that's not a player that I want to see ever afforded a good opportunity in front of goal, because I think more often than not he's going to take it. So we haven't been, despite the fact that I think like our form has been very good, we haven't been particularly like sharp defensively in just like clean sheets. We've kept 3 now with Roots. Like we've kept 3 in all competitions this season. So despite having like Jamali Waite and, having maybe a coach who has a little bit of a like reputation for being defensive, we haven't actually kept that many clean sheets. And all it takes in games like this is, you point to the Phoenix 4-4 or like some of these matches where it's like we should have been out of sight, and we just let teams back in sometimes. So that's the thing I think that concerns me, is like we probably, we have firepower, like we'll probably score goals, and like will we score enough goals to actually get all 3 points? That's kind of my biggest concern.
Well, the Orange County defense will probably do its part to maybe bring some hope to you, Phil. Orange County over the last 5 years has struggled anytime a cross has been sent to the back post. It's pretty much, it feels like a 1 in 3 chance of the opposition scoring. How likely are we to see that? What is El Paso doing moving forward? How is El Paso scoring goals?
Something that was a big story, I guess, early on was set pieces, and you will definitely see if that's a weakness that you guys see for Orange County, like that's definitely something that Wilmer and company will be targeting. And Gabby Torres and Eric Covio have pretty solid set piece delivery. So I would say, like, yeah, that will be something that they'll try to exploit. The set piece goals have cooled down a little bit, which was always likely given the fact that I think we came out of the gates with like 9 set piece goals in our first like 6 games in all competitions or something like that. So it's calmed down from there because we were definitely feeling like set piece FC for a while, but yeah, I think that'll be an area that they'll try to exploit, particularly from corners, like floating those to the far post and looking for the knockdown or the header at that back post. Yeah.
Great. I live in fear of of this game. Conversely, how is El Paso conceding? Because for years with Yuma kind of towards the back, it was just play it in behind and have someone fast run onto it. How have things changed?
Yeah. I would say this season has been a lot of goals conceded from transition. So like anytime that you can get this El Paso team, not necessarily in the same way, because mentioning the long balls in behind, like that definitely during like John Hutchinson, Brian Clarehout, like those couple of years from like 2022 on were it was just chip the ball in behind the fullback. There will be space there, and you'll basically get like the opportunity to either run in on goal yourself or to cross to somebody making a run on goal. And it was quite easy for people to get at El Paso that way. I think the change now is that it's not that simple. Like Locomotive do cover long balls quite well. Like I don't think they concede a lot from just like balls over the top or anything like that. But where they do struggle is anytime that they get out of shape. And if like they give up the ball in a bad area, it might seem obvious where it's like, well, yeah, obviously if you're giving up the ball in a bad area, you're conceding more. But I even mean like just like typical sort of midfield giveaways. If you can get Palermo Ortiz and Wahab Akwe like running back towards their own goal and chasing, it just like the team doesn't recover particularly well. If you're attacking them and they're set and they're like defending, we haven't conceded that many goals from just the sort of typical attack of, hey, we're prepared, we're like in our block and ready to go. But anytime we give the ball away in midfield, it does, that definitely gets my heart rate up, because I think it's quite easy for teams to get us out of shape and then exploit the space. And that's again where McKinnon scares me, because he's just liable to run onto something like, and if he gets a little bit of space, he can definitely punish people.
Yeah, as you described that, my thought was this sounds like a match for a Bryce Jamison, a Mo War, and a Lion McKinnon to just run riot. Hopefully, who knows? This might be like a 4-3 shootout where we concede 3 straight set pieces, and we just cause chaos going the other direction. Anything is possible. Height wise, how do things look? How are you? I mean, I presume if you're scoring from set pieces, this is a team that can defend crosses pretty well.
I would say I don't know. I would say our set piece defending, for as good as our set piece attacking is, I would say our set piece defending is it leaves something to be desired. It's not that we've conceded a bunch. It's just that I don't know. The key thing I'm always looking for is like, does that first sort of ball get dealt with at the highest point, right? Is someone attacking the cross? Is someone like dealing with it? And I think yeah, I think in general the design of set piece defending does not particularly like fill me with a ton of confidence. But height wise, the back line is pretty good. But I would say we're a pretty short team overall. Like once you get to that front six, there's not a lot of height outside of the back four. Daroma is probably one of the shortest players in the league. Like I think he's listed at 5'4", but some people say he's like closer to 5'3" or something like that. Moreno, not a tall guy. Beto Avila is not particularly big. Andy Cabrera is pretty small. So I think like, yeah, all in all, we're not a very, very big side, but the our attacking set piece design is quite good, which I think gives us the chances. And then Palermo Ortiz and Wahab Akwe are kind of the big guys who can get on the end of stuff.
Got it. Well, for all the people that have slagged off Orange County for directing crosses to Cameron Dunbar, maybe that changes this week. Maybe there's a point. Phil, I'm out of footy questions for you, unfortunately, so I'm just going to ask what we ask everybody else that comes on the show. What's your favorite vegetable, and how do you prepare it?
That is a great question. I think when I've got like the time, this might be a little weird. I love a good asparagus. And I like to grill it. And you obviously got to get a lot of seasoning and stuff. But just some garlic, salt, pepper, and hit it on the grill, get a nice char on it. That's just a classic prep for me. I really really enjoy asparagus.
Great answer.
I feel for your family, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's what. Hey, I mean, you take the good with the bad. That's what like.
Buddy, you're out in Ohio. I'm not too worried about it. If I was in Ohio, it would be a different story.
Hey, really quick, Phil. I don't know if you have a few more minutes to hang with us or not to let me know. I don't want to waste your time or hold you up or keep you up too late.
Yeah, I'm good.
We're gonna have a little fun right now. We did this, a few months ago, a couple months ago with team president Dan Rutstein. We're gonna do some trivia, and because we got such experts of USL stuff here, Dylan, DK, and Phil, we're gonna do it like this. You just have to call out your name to give the answer. If you get it right, you get a point. Winner gets bragging rights. Are you ready, Phil, Dylan, and DK?
No.
I didn't do any studying, so
yeah. Do we have to? I love the
These are
resounding responses.
We're also very unprepared for this, Phil. So
these are not difficult questions. I promise you, these are not difficult questions. First question: name one of the two teams that has the most championships in the modern era, which is the USL Championship era.
Keith,
go. Louisville is one of them. Point for Keith. Okay, ready? In what year did USL Championship officially gain Division II sanctioning?
Dylan. 2017.
That is correct. Good job. Dylan has a point. What was the first team to win the USL Championship in that modern era, which again is since 2011? And you gotta love silence on a podcast. Producer Andy.
It was Orlando City B, right? Well, it's
you got
Orlando City B now. It was then Orlando City.
Yeah, it was just Orlando.
Orlando City, yes. Point for producer Andy. Nice. I love it. As of the end of last season, the 2024 season, which player holds a single season goal scoring record in the USL Championship with 27 goals?
Dylan.
I'm going to go Phil. I heard Phil first.
Oh, sorry.
Nick Marcanic.
Yes, so we got 1 point each for everyone here.
Damn. He got that.
As of the current season, how many clubs are in the USL Championship? Phil.
Wait, now hold on. 24.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this trivia is created.
I was like, hold up. When did we?
All right.
Because we had uneven conferences one year. I'm just like, yeah. It's like almost psyched myself out. Glad I hung in there.
All right, here we go. Next question. Which team has appeared in the USL Championship final multiple times without winning a title? There's two options.
Keith.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Nope. Well, They do have the same amount of losses, but I said without winning. Any guess for the other two? I'll give you a clue. Neither of these teams are around anymore. Dylan.
Oh, God. They're not around anymore? Oh, no.
I just threw you off. Dylan.
Is it both of them? I was under the impression that... Oh, okay. Well, now I see that I'm going to say Tampa Bay, and I understand that that's not the correct answer, but they lost to Orange County, and technically they were in a final that never happened, so did they win it?
Okay.
I like that one. But there is actually two that have two losses that didn't win.
I'll give it a go. Red Bulls 2?
No.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good...
Ooh. Now, this is all from Google Gemini, so if it's wrong, you guys can get mad at me. But I got Harrisburg City Islanders
Rest in
and
peace,
Swope
Penn
Park
Island.
Rangers.
That was my other
Yep.
2.
Yep.
All right. Let me give you one more because we're just going to wrap this thing up. Ready? This is 2 answers. You got to name the 2 teams other than Orange County Soccer Club that were part of the first season of the modern era of the USL Championship, which is 2011.
Dylan.
Puerto
Rico FC. And
sorry. I'm gonna change it because I read it wrong.
He was trying to say who are still around.
Who are still around? Does anyone have this? You guys, I'll give you the open. You get to go first, Dylan.
Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
You didn't sound confident on that one.
And Sacramento. And I don't think that's even accurate. I think Sacramento.
Nope, that is wrong. Any guesses? This is for the victory.
So I think Pittsburgh is right, but
oh my God,
Charleston
and Pittsburgh. Dylan, I can't believe you didn't get that because like 2 seasons ago, that was like the sort of marketing between Charleston and Orange County playing each other is they are 2 of the originals from.
I went down the West Coast and I was like, well, it was us. And then as soon as I thought about Charleston, I was like, oh, don't say an expletive on the show because this was obvious.
So let me just say this. I did throw Dylan off because I read that question incorrect. So Dylan, you get a little pass on that, but Phil gets the victory on this trivia because he got the most correct.
That's why he's on the USL show because he's so much smarter than us.
Because he hears John talking all the time. So some of this stuff has to be... Actually, Ryan probably has more of those random stats.
I had a Ryan moment on the podcast today because I'm filling in for him because the Super League Tampa Bay Sun beat Dallas Trinity and Kaylor was like, didn't they beat someone with 10 men? And I was like, well, actually that game was also against Dallas Trinity, and I felt very Ryan in that moment. So.
Well, now, Phil, you can go back to your USL show chums and say, hey, you won the Orange and Black Soccer Cast trivia against Dylan and DK, and you have those bragging rights till the next time you come on the show. And next time you come on, I'll make sure these 2 are here. They'll get their rematch against you. We'll switch up the category. Maybe we'll change it up. Phil, before we let you go, go Dylan.
I was just going to say, Phil, this is high. This is amazing. This is like saying that you were in the 2020 USL Championship final. That's that kind of bragging rights that you've got here.
That's what I was going to say that Kaylor will let me back on the show now because if I was like, hey, I lost at USL Trivia on Orchard Black Soccer Cast, he's like, okay, here's your marching orders. Like, you're out.
Yeah, Phil, before we let you go, you want to just share, like we've been talking about USL show, but how do people hear more from you all and you personally?
So definitely listen to the USL show. We're working on right now. We've got a custom like kit available that we're selling that is doing some fundraising for a trip that we're doing out to Portland, Maine this summer to cover Hearts of Pine. We're going to be doing, I don't know if you guys saw, but last year we did a show at Oakland where we got to do pitch side. We got, like a bunch of interviews and all that sort of stuff. And so we're getting the same sort of access out at Portland, and we're going to do a match at the end of July. So the fundraising for that, there's a USL show kit. You get customization. I'm looking for like real sicko customization on this of like the most obscure USL players you could think of. I'm personally doing, in honor of Antonio Nocerino getting sacked from Lights, I'm getting Nocerino 63 on the back of mine for the negative 63 goal difference that he had at Miami in 2024. So, yeah, that
That's
kind of sicko
fantastic.
stuff is what I'm
Yeah,
looking for.
I love that.
Do
So
they have
Dylan-
an N dash as one of the characters available?
So Kaylor was like, I bet they would do it if you asked, and I was like, I think I'll keep it subtle, in terms of the reference.
Can we do like a Skendi -3 since he had like 3 or 4 own goals? Because I might get that.
Well, for Dylan can get a Skendi with his top speed mile per hour on the jersey as well, because that's what we were told. He was the fastest guy on the pitch.
I think
for
that's
OC.
about 3 or 4. Yeah, I think it's the same jersey.
All right. Well, Phil, I want to thank you so much for taking some time to join us. It's been fun. Producer Andy, you have a comment.
Score predictions.
Oh, score predictions. We forgot all about that. Way to remind us, Producer Andy. Score predictions against El Paso. Phil, do you want to go first or do you want to think about it?
No, I can go. I'm gonna go for, because I'm probably I'm picking an El Paso win, so I'm probably like in the minority here, but I'm just saying, I'll go for a 2-1 for Locomotive. This has been a scoreline that they've trotted out a handful of times before. I don't think we keep a clean sheet because we never do, and but I do think they probably have enough to get past. And I'm hoping that they got kind of the hair dryer treatment after the Roots game, because and they get a little bit of more energy in this one.
DK.
Oh man, I've been super hopeful and it really hasn't been working out. So I'm going to go the opposite route here, and I'm going to say, based off of our performance in Phoenix, it is going to be a 2-0 El Paso win.
Well, Dylan's happy because at least you didn't go 5-0 like what I like to do.
No,
Dylan,
I'm not
your
going
prediction.
like you.
Honestly, let's be real. A 5-0 loss is not out of the question at this point in the year. I'm gonna rock with a. Man, I don't see us winning on the road. I'm gonna say 2-1 El Paso on this one. Prove me wrong, everybody.
Prove us.
So Dylan and Phil both stole what I was thinking on this. So I'm gonna go 3-1 Orange County.
Wow, honestly, I was expecting a 5-0 there. I'm blown away.
Josh Wright on the comments is saying 2-1 OC on this one. So same scoreline as Dylan and Phil, but different victor. Okay, now officially we could say, Phil, thank you so much for taking some time to join us on this episode. Go brag that you were the victor in our trivia to your USL chums, and throw Dylan and DK under the bus for not beating you.
Yeah, will do. Thank you guys for having me again.
As always, thank you. And as we let you go, Carlos Kicks is throwing in a score prediction of 2-0 OC. So there's some positivity. Now, we got a few minutes here. Let's get back to that negativity.
Yes.
Again,
Excellent.
I forget who out of the two of you were wanting to talk about runs of form. Dylan, I think it was you. You did some really good analysis. Wow. Are we going somewhere
I
fancy?
think that was me transforming into Nathan, maybe, because I pulled up so many
you
stats
actually
this
have
afternoon.
the stats, right?
Yeah.
Dylan, what did you learn, Dylan, in your research on runs of forms with former coaches that got sacked?
Yeah. Well, first off, I know that someone complained last year that I am too negative, and eat your heart out, because here we are, man. Things are real bad. So typically we look at a 10-match barometer of the coaches that have been fired from Orange County over the last 5 managers, albeit Morton Carlson was transferred. Things weren't great. We were having this conversation shortly before he left, but my point stands. So Braden Cloutier, last 10 matches in all competitions, 2 wins, 3 draws, 5 losses, total 9 points. He was fired in August of 2021, replaced by Richard Chaplow as the interim. Things got a lot better under Chaplow in 2021, and then were really terrible under him in 2022. He made it all the way to April 2023. which feels like an early firing, but we did nothing in 2022 except give the ball to Milanowski, who just kept scoring. So Chapel's last 10 games, 2 wins, 3 draws, 5 losses for 9 points. Morten Carlson, again, we had this conversation because we looked really bad. And it was a conversation about, hey, did we fire a coach because it hasn't been that long? We actually looked pretty good when he took over, and we had a good run to the end of the year, and then things went sour to start things. His last 10 matches, 2 wins, 1 draw, 7 losses for 7 points. He was transferred in June of 2024. How was that only a year ago? That now that I read that again, I'm losing. It's been a long year, everybody. Paul Hardiman only made it 10 games, and only really had the league. So 2 wins, 1 draw, 7 losses, and left in August 2024 after the team gave up and we lost 6-0 in Charleston. Really, really should have gotten that question during the trivia. Finally, Danny Stone's last 10 matches in all competitions. I will give the caveat of I would consider the match against AV Alta a loss because while we technically drew 2-2, well, I think you factor in not doing so hot in PKs and advancing as in fact losing. So he has 3 wins, no draws, and 7 losses for 9 points. It really, really, really feels like this is it. In Monterey, it kind of looked like he was thinking, well, this is probably it for me. It feels like we're right on the precipice. That being said, I think it's still too early because we did just sign him to a contract. We gave Chapelo plenty of time after a good run. We gave Carlson plenty of time after a good run. And I think generally the argument of those people who haven't wanted to see Richard Chapelo sacked. Oh, wow, I'm just rolling back the years, everybody. I'm sorry about that. People who haven't wanted to see Danny Stone sacked, I think the thing is pretty much that if we sack a manager every 6 months and become the Watford of the USL Championship, does anybody ever actually want to sign for us anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts. Exactly. I don't want to be that club. Obviously Carlson wasn't sacked. He was transferred out. He wanted to go home. So that is a little bit of a different story, but you look at the past 4 years and it just does look super inconsistent from how we're able to retain. I mean, not even just retain, but how we're able to keep managers and not just let them go at every negative. Obviously, I think things need to change. I don't think it's just on the shoulders of Danny Stone. I don't think it's just on the shoulders of the players. And I don't think it's just on the shoulders of, the executives in the front office either. I think it is a mixed bag of everybody, not doing everything that they should. And so I'm hoping that we keep Stone for a full season, just as Joseph said there. That's my hope. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what this squad can do. Let's see what the front office built for us in the offseason. And as we talked about at the beginning of the season, it's not time to panic yet. I think in all of those moments, those were like the last 10 games. But if you also just look at the first starting 10 games of the past few years, we really haven't been. And then we come back. And all it takes in the Western Conference right now is a few game winning streak to rise up the table. It's going to be a tough one for us since we're on the road. But if there's any time for us to prove the haters wrong, it's now. And I can't defend what how the team performed against Phoenix, or really how they performed against Monterey. There's big issues with the defense. Colin Shuttler needs to step up and actually make some saves. Not that it's all on his shoulders either, but I think, that second goal, especially against Phoenix, what's going on there? A couple goals and moments in Monterey, what's going on? So I don't think it's any one particular area of the pitch, because also the offense could be doing better. And the midfield, against Phoenix couldn't control shit. So it was all over the place. Sorry. It was all over the place. And so it just needs to be a whole structural, we got to figure our stuff out and move forward. And I think you keep Danny Stone to keep that consistency, at least in the locker room. And at least everything I've seen and heard from the players that we've had on this show, it doesn't seem like there's any issues with Stone. So I think you run the project through the rest of 2025. Sorry, that was my long rant about this whole season so far.
I liked it, DK. I think we listened to what Phil says earlier, and his Colorado Springs was horrid at the start of
Lost 5 games in a row, I'm pretty sure.
And and they made a run. We were not great under Braden Cloutier in 2021, and we made a run late in the year. So until we're rooted to the bottom, a la an East Coast team with 3 points after 25 matches, stick with him and you give him the opportunity to coach and manage his way out of the situation and manage the club out of the way out of the situation. It's the nice thing about us not being able to be relegated or promoted is it doesn't really matter.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe someday in the future. Besides, if we look at things, we love a manager from the northwest of England, by the way. Obviously, Danny Stone's from Liverpool. Richard Chappell is from Accrington, which is also in the northwest. Ray's departed, so I'm going to run with this one because I really didn't want to do any work today. So if we look at Danny Stone roster management as we're going to score 50 goals a game and we're going to try and win I guess 50 to 49 every single game. And Richard Chaplow's roster, ideal world is we're going to win 1-0 every single game. Somewhere in between, logically, we have to figure out what the geographic middle ground of Accrington and Liverpool is, because we're clearly only going to pick English managers. That happens to be a town called Chorley. Now, Chorley is famous for being the hometown of one Phil Parkinson, who is a little bit busy right now managing Wrexham. Something tells me he's probably not going to walk away from Ryan Reynolds' paycheck to come manage in sunny Orange County. So that leaves us one other option with management experience, and that's David Unsworth. Probably not, Ray. Again, pragmatic and terrible with injuries, probably not the way we want to go. So, David Unsworth, he was in charge of Everton as a caretaker a couple times, and I think was most recently in charge of Oldham. So let's put it this way. He will work for peanuts, and he's not busy right now. So I guess that's maybe our backup. In all seriousness, and I see it in the comments, this team is streaky. Look, if you want to watch a man lose his job, be toxic, get on the team's back, stop showing up. I don't know, why? Every single time we have a player come on, they say, come support the club. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, you're watching the show. You probably have some sort of Stockholm Syndrome thing going on, like all of us here. Just show up and have fun for an hour and a half, regardless of what happens on the field. And come November, we're going to be having a different conversation.
So yes, Dylan, take your own advice. Show up and have fun at the stadium. Let's go into this. What did we learn this episode, DK? Go for it.
What did I learn? Oh man, sorry, I wasn't actually even prepared. I learned that El Paso is on a good, kind of lucky run right now. From their fans, I think they're maybe just looking at the past 2 seasons and not trying to get super hopeful. But from the matches of theirs, which isn't a ton that I have watched, they do look really good. But talking to Phil, they could turn around just as we turn around the other way at any moment. So, yeah, it's the kind of vague thing I learned.
Dylan, what'd you learn?
I learned that you would fix trivia so that Phil would win because I was about to win. I named Puerto Rico, which had
Puerto Rico what? Puerto Rico what?
Puerto Rico FC, but it was tied to Sevilla, and then there was the Puerto Rico River Plate team. I'm not sure how that one worked exactly. And then there was Puerto Rico United. So there were actually 3 teams that started the year in 2011. So
didn't finish.
Yeah, well, you didn't let me finish the answer to the original question. So, there you go. Ray's a fraud, everybody. If there's someone to be mad at in 2025, it's Ray Zamora.
What did I learn? I learned that Dylan is already scoping out new coaches or new managers for Orange County SC because he has no faith in the current leadership there. And he's scoping out in England. And there was one manager that he was like absolutely no to that is a cup winner that is now available in Big Ange Postecoglou. So I learned that Dylan doesn't want to win cups. He just wants lower tier managers that can come in and, I guess, caretake the club. With that said, I want to make sure everyone remembers to like, share, subscribe to anything podcast or show related, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify. Follow us on there for your podcast stuff. Follow us on social media so you know when we are doing any shows live. Maybe there will be an upcoming show at the stadium in the near future. Who knows? But make sure you do that. And that also helps just get our show out there to the masses and people can find out who we are and listen to what we got to say because it's always fun. I want to thank my co-host DK, Dylan, my producer Andy, our special guest Phil from Seriously Loco on the USL show, all the people that participated in the comments and the chats. Thank you for doing so as well in the live show. Hey, this is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. We are out.